It's just kind of who I am. I want to pour into my team as much as possible, and I'm pretty in tune with my body. I can read a room pretty well, and so when I see we're lacking a little bit, you got to step up. But if we're good, you're just there to encourage and give people confidence.
The cameras were rolling, but no one expected Sophie Cunningham to deliver the moment that would stop fans, commentators, and even her teammates in their tracks. Known for her physical grit on the hardwood, Sophie took her boldness off the court, this time with words that echoed far beyond the arena. Was it a slip of the tongue? A calculated shot? Or a cry for change in women's basketball? Whatever it was, it changed everything. The Fever were reeling after a blowout loss, a disaster by... It was her way of saying, "This won't break me." She gave credit to her opponent, shook it off, and moved on. The toughness wasn't just physical, it was emotional. She carried pain with humor, a rhythm, a joy that opponents could feel as much as the Fever did. But then came the real jolt, the words that shook Indiana. After the game, in front of reporters, Sophie took the mic and dropped her truth bomb. She didn't flinch. She didn't sugarcoat. She said what fans had been whispering and what teammates had maybe thought but not dared to say. "We have good spurts," she admitted. "But why are we not being consistent?" It wasn't just a critique, it was a challenge. To herself,
to her team,
to the entire organization. Every time Sophie Cunningham steps in again, I hope. That wasn't optimism. That was a challenge. Sophie knew the Fever had too much firepower to keep settling for poor shooting nights. And context matters. The Fever season had been a roller coaster, beating contenders like the Liberty one night, looking lifeless against bottom-tier opponents the next. After a brutal blowout loss to the Valkyries, Sophie finally admitted what others only whispered. She was fed up. "We're running out of time," she snapped. "It's time to light a fire under our butts." This wasn't empty talk. She backed it up when Caitlin Clark was sidelined during the preseason opener. Sophie stepped into the spotlight, draining the clutch free throws that pushed the game into overtime before Indiana escaped with a 79-74 win. Teammate Kelsey Mitchell summed it up bluntly. "That's Sophie Cunningham. She's a dog." Coach Stephanie White echoed it, calling Sophie a competitor who brings versatility, toughness, and points and 10 rebounds, her first double-double of the season. Afterward, she grinned and said, "It's about dang time." Her words aren't sound bites. They're fuel for fans, for teammates, for the whole franchise. When Sophie talks about accountability, it's not suggestion, it's expectation. And that's why her voice matters. She doesn't hide. She doesn't soften. She doesn't deflect. So when she stood in front of reporters and flatly declared, "No more motion offense," it wasn't just frustration. It was a shot fired, a wake-up call. With one sentence, Sophie captured what so many players, coaches, and fans had been quietly thinking. The Fever system had stalled. And this time, she didn't whisper it in the locker room. She said it out loud, live on TV. The reaction was instant. Caitlin Clark reposted the clip on X with just 4 words. 100% with you. That short message hit like a lightning strike. One of the league's most watched rookies wasn't just showing support. She was taking a stand. Kelsey Mitchell didn't flinch either. Teammates weren't offended. They were relieved. Somebody had finally said what needed to be said. And the fans? They loved it. Social feeds lit up with praise. One viral tweet read, "She said what we've all been screaming at our TVs." On Reddit, a post rocketed to the top of the WNBA board. This isn't just venting. This is leadership. Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some critics called it airing dirty laundry, warning it could backfire. But even they admitted one thing. Sophie had the Fever back in the spotlight. Sports media swarmed. Yahoo Sports dubbed it a tactical mic drop. ESPN wondered aloud if staff. Debate shows lit up, asking, was Sophie going rogue, or was this the veteran's message through her voice? Either way, one thing was undeniable. The Indiana Fever were no longer being ignored. The Fever suddenly became the most discussed team in the league. Not because of their record, but because of one raw, honest moment. And players across the WNBA took notice. Some applauded Sophie Cunningham for being bold. Others warned her rebel. Fans who had tuned out were tuning back in. Sports shows that rarely mentioned Indiana were now devoting full segments. Even casual followers of the league started asking, "Who's that Sophie girl who called out the playbook?" Cunningham hadn't just made a statement. She had shifted the culture in Indiana. Most pegged her as a savvy veteran shooter, another piece alongside Caitlin Clark and the Fever's rising stars. What the team quickly discovered was that Sophie was quietly becoming something else, the emotional and competitive heart of the locker room. It started with energy. In early games, her presence was unmistakable, diving for loose balls, contesting rebounds, refusing to let possessions die. Against Atlanta, she erupted for 16 points and 10 rebounds off the bench. But even after that performance, her post-game smile faded to seriousness. "I bring the energy. I bring the feistiness. I'm a little bit sassy." Tone setting. She's been vocal all season, especially after losses. After a heated battle with Connecticut, she defended Caitlin Clark during an altercation, drawing a flagrant 2 and an ejection. Instead of criticism, fans and teammates praised her willingness to stand tall. Her leadership isn't only physical. With injuries, media scrutiny, and rising pressure, Sophie has become the one holding the Fever together. Following a tough loss to the transition from Phoenix to Indiana wasn't easy, and she admits it. In Phoenix, she got too comfortable. In Indiana, she's embraced a new identity: veteran experience, championship expectations, and hunger. She's even said she wants to pass on what Diana Taurasi charged the Fever's chemistry. On the court, her production has backed it up. Against Atlanta, she didn't just notch a double-double. She led warm-ups, talked through rotations, and kept teammates engaged from start to finish. The message was clear: we're not spectators. We're contenders. Off the court, her Midwestern roots have only deepened her bond with Indiana fans. After a blowout win against Dallas, she laughed on local radio. "Indiana has the best fans. They're feisty. They're sassy, just like me." Through ups and downs, Sophie has been more than a spark. She's become the standard.